Michelle Trachtenberg, the breakout star of Buffy and Harriet the Spy, became a cultural touchstone for a generation of fearless young women. Brian Wilson, the visionary behind the Beach Boys' shimmering harmonies, reshaped pop music with his daring arrangements and relentless pursuit of sonic perfection. Kirstie Alley, whose razor-sharp wit lit up Cheers and later the silver screen, proved that humor and grit can coexist on any stage. Sinead O'Connor, the fearless Irish singer who challenged convention with Nothing Compares, turned personal pain into a powerful, unforgettable anthem. Quincy Jones, the legendary producer whose fingerprints span jazz, pop, and film, turned every collaboration into a masterclass in musical storytelling. Val Kilmer, the chameleon of Hollywood, known for his intense transformations, reminds us that true artistry often demands hidden sacrifice. Brad Pitt entered the world on December 18, 1963, in Shawnee, Oklahoma, the youngest of 3 children in a modest, working-class family. His father, William Pitt, worked a series of blue-collar jobs, while his mother, Jane Elliott, cared for the household and nurtured a love of movies that would later become Brad's compass. As a child, he spent afternoons in the local theater, not as a star, but as an audience member, learning to read a story through light and shadow. Those early moments forged a quiet reverence for the craft of storytelling, a reverence that would later clash with the glittering expectations of a global audience. When the Pitt family moved to Springfield, Missouri, teenage Brad discovered a different kind of spotlight on the high school football field. He earned a scholarship to the University of Missouri, where he majored in journalism and dabbled in athletics. But the campus theater program beckoned him with a promise of deeper expression. He appeared in a handful of productions, earning modest applause and a growing conviction that the stage, not the gridiron, held his future. Yet his parents, practical and protective, urged him toward a stable career, a tension that would echo throughout his early adulthood. After college, Pitt packed a duffel bag and headed west, a decision that felt both reckless and inevitable. He arrived in Los Angeles with a thin resume, a string of odd jobs, and a relentless work ethic that would become his behind-the-scenes superpower. He took on construction labor, painted houses, and even drove a forklift, all while attending acting classes at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute. Those grueling days taught him discipline, humility, and the willingness to disappear into any role qualities that would later shield him from the blinding glare of fame. Pitt's first on-screen appearance was a brief, uncredited turn in the 1987 television movie No Way Out. The role was tiny, but it marked the beginning of a pattern. He would accept any part, no matter how small, to learn the language of the industry. Over the next few years, he accumulated a mosaic of supporting roles: The Dark Side of the Sun, Less Than Zero, and a memorable cameo as a biker in Thelma and Louise, 1991. In that film, director Ridley Scott recognized a raw magnetism in Pitt's performance, a blend of charm and danger that hinted at a future leading man. When Thelma and Louise premiered, critics noted a new face that seemed to embody the restless spirit of a generation. The exposure was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it catapulted him into the Hollywood consciousness. On the other, it introduced a public image that was instantly romanticized. A handsome rebel with a mischievous grin. The media began to pigeonhole him as the quintessential bad boy heartthrob, a label that would both open doors and create invisible expectations. The breakthrough arrived in 1994 with The Usual Suspects. Pitt's portrayal of the slick, streetwise hustler Danny Ocean earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. The accolade validated his craft, but it also intensified the pressure to maintain a flawless public persona. He was now expected to be both a box office draw and a model of effortless cool. To meet that demand, Pitt adopted a rigorous fitness routine, hiring personal trainers and nutritionists to sculpt the physique that would dominate magazine covers worldwide. Behind the glossy images, however, lay a relentless schedule. Filming Seven, 1995, required Pitt to work long nights, often sleeping on set. He immersed himself in the role of a detective haunted by darkness, channeling a work ethic that left little room for personal reprieve. The grueling pace took its toll, manifesting in fatigue and a growing awareness of the personal sacrifices demanded by stardom. He began to keep a private journal, a habit that allowed him to process the dissonance between the public's adoration and the private exhaustion he felt. The late 1990s brought a cascade of blockbuster successes. Seven, 1995, 12 Monkeys, 1995, and Fight Club, 1999. Fight Club, in particular, cemented his reputation as a cultural icon who could embody both charisma and existential angst. The film's anti-consumerist themes resonated with audiences, while Pitt's on-screen swagger sparked a wave of imitation. Yet the paradox was stark. The man who played a nihilistic rebel was, in reality, negotiating a career built on the very structures the film critiqued. The dichotomy between his public image and the private reality of contract negotiations, press tours, and relentless scrutiny formed a persistent undercurrent in his life. Amidst the fame, Pitt pursued a deeper artistic purpose. He co-founded the production company Plan B Entertainment in 2001, aiming to champion stories that mattered beyond commercial appeal. The first major success, The Departed, 2006, earned him an Academy Award for Best Picture, confirming his ability to shape cinema from behind the camera. This pivot revealed a facet of his personality rarely highlighted in tabloids. A meticulous producer who valued narrative integrity over celebrity glamour. Plan B's commitment to socially relevant cinema led Pitt to champion projects like The Tree of Life, 2011, and 12 Years a Slave, 2013. The latter, a harrowing recount of Solomon Northup's ordeal, earned critical acclaim and underscored Pitt's dedication to stories that confront uncomfortable histories. While audiences praised his humanitarian image, the behind-the-scenes reality involved countless hours of research, fundraising, and negotiation tasks that demanded a quiet, relentless focus far from the camera's spotlight. Personal life added another layer to the public-private tension. His high-profile relationships with actresses Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie placed his private affairs under relentless media scrutiny. While the tabloids chronicled every breakup and reunion, Pitt's own narrative was far more nuanced. He described his relationships in interviews as learning experiences, emphasizing personal growth over sensationalism. The constant exposure forced him to develop coping mechanisms. He cultivated a close circle of friends, including fellow actors and musicians who provided grounding away from the paparazzi. In the 2000s, Pitt's career entered a phase of reinvention. He embraced roles that challenged typecasting, playing a grieving widower in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008, a charismatic yet flawed politician in The Big Short, 2015, and a war-torn soldier in Ad Astra, 2019. Each character demanded a different emotional palette, and Pitt consistently approached them with a disciplined preparation routine, script analysis, physical transformation, and, when required, immersion in the lived experiences of the characters he portrayed. Simultaneously, his philanthropic endeavors expanded. He co-founded the Make It Right Foundation in 2007, dedicated to rebuilding New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Though the initiative faced criticism and setbacks, Pitt remained committed, personally overseeing construction sites and engaging with community leaders. This hands-on involvement illustrated a private drive to effect tangible change, contrasting with the often surface-level charity narratives presented in press releases. The COVID-19 pandemic presented a new set of challenges. Production schedules stalled, and the film industry grappled with unprecedented uncertainty. Pitt adapted by supporting virtual film festivals and advocating for industry workers' safety. He also used his platform to raise awareness about climate change, aligning with the broader activist community that had long been part of his public identity. Today, Brad Pitt continues to balance the dualities that have defined his career. He stars in Babylon, 2022, a sprawling saga that explores Hollywood's golden age through a lens of decadence and decay, while simultaneously steering Plan B toward emerging talent and innovative storytelling. His public appearances, red carpet events, interviews, and humanitarian visits remain meticulously crafted, yet those who know him describe a man who still wakes up before sunrise to run, reads scripts with a critical eye, and spends evenings in quiet contemplation. The narrative of Brad Pitt is not a static portrait of a Hollywood star, but a dynamic story of a man who constantly negotiates the gap between image and interior life. His charm on screen masks a relentless work ethic. His philanthropy reflects both genuine concern and strategic brand stewardship, and his artistic choices reveal a restless pursuit of meaning beyond fame. In a culture that often reduces icons to a single snapshot, Pitt's ongoing evolution reminds us that greatness is forged in the tension between what the world sees and what the individual endures. As new projects loom on the horizon and his production company continues to champion bold voices, Brad Pitt remains a living testament to the idea that public adulation and private sacrifice are not mutually exclusive. The legend continues to write his own script, one where the spotlight is both a platform and a responsibility, and where the next chapter is shaped by the same discipline that carried him from a small-town garage to the pinnacle of cinematic history.